Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Super Rugby. And today I'm not joined by Piri Weepu in studio. He's busy with family sports stuff. So I've got, someone coming off the bench. Hasn't played for the All Blacks, hasn't played for the Hurricanes, hasn't played for Wellington, hasn't played for Otago. But he knows a lot about rugby union, so it's we're very lucky to have Karl Tily. And Karl, welcome in.
Has played for the OBU Dead Ants and the OBU Teddy Bears.
The Dead Ants and the Teddy Bears.
Teddy Bears, the longest running social rugby team in the country.
Wow. That's out of Otago?
No, that's here. OBU, Old Boys University.
Old Boys
Wellington.
University.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Didn't go to university, but made the rugby team.
Have you ever played Northcote or Takapuna? Have you played any of those teams?
No, but I know Sealy got his 150th cap the other week.
Yes.
Not recorded, but I reckon I played between those two teams for OBU between 150 and 200 games myself.
Did you get a plaque or anything? Did you get
No way.
Okay. Well, speaking of 150 games, the man himself, who's just added to that 150 and looking towards the next 150, our good friend Ben Searle of Searley Talk Sports. Searley, welcome back in again, mate. First of all, how'd the weekend go?
Yeah, not great, Paulie. I don't know if you've seen the results, but it was deja vu from the semi-final last year. Those keen listeners will remember we were up 24-10 last year and lost 25-24. Well, this year we were up 30-10 with 15 minutes to go and lost 31-30.
No way. This is like a Hollywood movie. This is a Greek tragedy. How did this happen?
Mate, it was absolutely heartbreaking. They brought on Lotu Anisi, who is working his way back from injury. Of course, Moana Pacifica loose forward, and he just ran amok. He was the definition of a game changer. And then flashbacks started to happen and the lads just crumbled. And it was heartbreaking scenes. We lost the old Ramfurly Shield of North Harbour Club Rugby and we lost a new trophy as well. And I was very quick to leave the aftermatch to go to the Warriors. I wanted nothing to do with it. So I smoke bombed very quickly and it still hurts today.
Well, at least the weekend finished off nicely for you at Go Media Stadium.
Yes, it did. Luke Metcalf, great man. Welcome at Northcote Rugby Club Rooms. Any time for a cold one, that's for sure.
Karl, any sport on the weekend? You get out for a round of golf?
I actually got out for 3 rounds of golf.
What?
Yeah. 76, 73, 74.
Still married?
Still married. Played one of those rounds with my wife.
Yeah.
Actually.
See, that's what you do.
Collective 13 over for the weekend. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Right, let's get back into some Super Rugby talk.
Some real sport.
And I thought we'd start off with a question. As it's ANZAC Day this Friday, I thought in the spirit of ANZAC, I'd ask you both, what Australian Super Rugby player, one current and one from the past, would you take to play for a New Zealand franchise? I think if we head up north first to Searley, let's start with your current player.
I don't want any of them. I will go with. I'll go with Fraser McWright. It was a toss-up for me between him and Tizano because I think they're both quality sevens. But I'm going to go with Fraser McWright. He just reminds me of that Michael Hooper style of flanker. And I've been really impressed with him. I think he's got a massive future ahead of him, but he's already been really good. So I'll go with Fraser McWright. I was tempted to go Joseph Suali'i, but I thought that was the mainstream answer, which I'm going to say at least one of you has for sure.
Bingo.
Make it two. Karl?
He's just an athlete. Like, you put him in any team and he makes them better instantly. That's Suali'i, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for a past player. It's early.
I would go with Stephen Larkham, and I would chuck him into your Hurricanes so that he can kick that famous drop goal he kicked in the 1999 World Cup semi-final to send the Springboks home, but he can do it against the Western Force to get you a much-needed win to help move you into the top 6 and book your place in finals footy.
Nice, I do like that. Are you also taking a Brumbies player, Cal?
I've got 4 here, but
hold on, let's just check the mail. It was like one
I know.
past player.
I've just relax.
To be fair, you're just like Piri. I asked him to pick his ultimate Hurricanes team. Oh, here's 3 halfbacks.
I saw that.
Well, you wait till my Chiefs team. Honourable mention is a word that will get run more than the 15 players I'm going to name.
This may be controversial, but Quaid Cooper.
Yes.
Always loved watching Quaid Cooper and loved the way he played. Razzle-dazzle mentality, like kind of, yeah, cool, I'll let in 10 points, but I'll make sure we score 12 and win the game.
Yeah,
Pretty much every New Zealand rugby fan had an opinion about Quaid Cooper.
They did, and I think he was unfairly treated, to be fair, for a lot of it. But yeah, I would. You could chuck him in any team. I'll chuck him in the Highlanders because I'm a Highlanders fan. Yeah. Honourable mentions: Stephen Larkham, Sterling Mortlock, Israel Folau.
That season Quaid Cooper had for the Reds, that 1 year where they were just on a tear, that was insane. I'll never forget. Was it Lucky Munro that he got rid of twice on the way to setting up an unreal try? Like watching him, Digby Ioane, Will Guinea, they were all at the peak of their powers. And yeah, Quaid was a great watch.
I remember, do you remember the rugby pools that we used to have? Like we'd have 10 games of rugby league, and you had to pick the winning team and margin for all 10 games. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's why I don't like Quaid Cooper, because we got 9 out of 10 that round, and the one we missed was where the Reds, Drew was someone else, and Quaid had a penalty late in the game to win it for the Reds, and missed it. But yeah, I think he embraced that.
That's why you hate him, not because he face palm Richie McCaw.
No. That's rugby.
Paulie, can we get your answers for both of these questions? You always get away with not telling us what you did on the weekend, not answering any of these controversial things, but then you still make a statement which ends up on the highlight reel.
I was also Swali'i, so he's my current player. My past player is George Gregan, who was part of that great Brumbies team when they, boy oh boy, they were tough to beat. Either at home or away. And I still remember, and I wish Jeff Wilson was on this episode, I still remember that tackle that he made for the Wallabies against Jeff, as Jeff dived into the corner and he knocked the ball out of Goldie's hands. It cost me money. I was on the All Blacks that weekend, so I wasn't happy about it, but I thought, wow, that was just a sensational tackle. He came across to cover defence and to knock the ball out of Jeff's hands. Jeff was going for the big sort of, not quite a swan dive, but he sort of...
Man was in the air.
Yeah. And speaking of the weekend, I can tell you what happened on the weekend. I was abused by a former All Black. And he was...
Give the proper context, because this could end up in the papers.
He texted me on Saturday night, I think, over a couple of bets that he had. In the end, they won. So thanks, Izzy, for sending me those text messages while I was just relaxing on a Saturday night. But anyway, let's move on to... should we check out some punting from last week, first of all?
No, we don't need to.
I think we should. Let's see. We'll start with Piri, seeing as he's not here. He had Moananu to score a try. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And he had the Canes to win by 13 or more. and that didn't happen either. So he keeps this consistent streak. Yet to have one winning bet this season. He is now down 900.
Is that why I'm here? Is that the real reason?
Yeah, he's gone bankrupt. He's been booted off the show.
Let's see, where's Karl? There's Steve Devine. Karl's had one bet. He's been on one show, had one bet. Highlanders, Chiefs, Brumbies, all to win back in round 5. That lost, so Karl's down 100 for the season at the moment.
I think it was the Highlanders that let me down too, was it?
It probably was.
Round 5 was that?
Round 5,
Let me
yeah.
go back and have a look. We lost to the Hurricanes by 2 points.
Goldie, he had the Highlanders plus 14.5
Ouch.
into the Brumbies, into the Canes, no good. And then, and this is another one. I got another text message from a former All Black, starting hooker for the Brumbies to be the first, second or third try scorer. Remember he asked us if we knew who Billy Pollard was?
Yeah.
Billy wasn't the starting hooker, but he came on and then scored a couple of tries. Unfortunately, he wasn't the starting hooker, so that was a loss for Jeffrey there. He lost 100 for the week. He is now up $245 for the season, and he's only been with us 3 episodes, so that's a pretty good strike rate for him.
He always had a strong strike rate.
Surly. Okay. Either team to win by under 7.5 in the Crusaders Blues. Nice. That's very nice. The Drua to win. Nice. Chiefs to win. Oh, I tell you what, we're looking good here.
Wop, wop.
Force to win. That's okay. It was a draw, so you get half divvies. And Moana to win. Oh no.
You always take that extra one.
Damn.
You don't need
it's that fifth leg you don't need, eh?
And then he had a little double, Force by 1 to 12 into Moana by 1 to 12. Surly down 100 for the week. He's up 361.80 for the season. I had 2 bets. I had a same game multi in the Canes game. Roigard to score a try, O'Moore to score a try, Canes to win by 13 or more. None of those leagues were successful. And then I had a 3-league multi, Crusaders to win, Brumbies to win, and Canes to win. So I got half divvies on that one. I was up 132.80 for the week, and I'm up 595.58 for the season.
Wow.
Nice.
We go. So let's have a look back at those games from last week, and we can start with the first game, Crusaders Blues. It was the big match of the round, to be fair, and the Crusaders came out on top 25-22 thanks to a very late James O'Connor penalty. Surely, if you look back on this game, were the Blues unlucky there? I mean, if we look at it, Satutu's little round-the-back flick pass was sensational, but they just, in the end, just weren't quite good enough against the Crusaders.
Yeah, this was a great game in the wet. It had everything. It felt like a real finals intensity. And unfortunately, the result didn't go the Blues' way, and that might be enough to keep them out of the finals. But I think they showed with a better start to the season, they're definitely a finals-worthy side. Hoskins was elite. Like you said, the flick pass was great. I just thought his work rate around the paddock was huge too. I thought Bodie was really good at times, but I think down the stretch, that Crusaders pack really stood up. You could tell they wanted to outmuscle the Blues forward pack, and I think they did that perfectly. I thought Fletcher Newell, his last 10 minutes for a prop to go 80 and then be that dominant at set-piece time down the stretch, those 2 scrums won them the game. Yes, James O'Connor iced it. Looks a bit like Luke Metcalf as well, so a great weekend for our Aussie goal kickers clutching it for New Zealand sides. But yeah, for me, I think it was the depth of the Crusaders and their strength at set piece up against a couple young Blues props probably got them the win, and an important win too. That they look the real deal, the Crusaders, and I think their forward pack made a statement.
I'm declaring it now. Blues will make the finals.
They do have an easier run into.
Draw, yeah.
They do.
What if they lose to the Reds in Queensland this week, though? That is a tough game. Reds off a bye.
100%. This is the crossroads, I think, for the Blues. They pick up a win in Queensland this weekend, and then they've got a smoother ride over the final 4 or 5 weeks of the tournament. But if you look at the game against the Crusaders, I think Sealy makes a good point that that forward pack of the Crusaders really, really did put the pressure on at critical times against the Blues.
They did. You talked about James O'Connor. Is he not the best guy to just have sitting on the bench to come on and ice a game like that? Like, for all the rugby he's played, he feels like he's been around for 20 years. He's such a good player. And he's another one a bit like Quaid Cooper, who, you either love him or you hate him. But I feel like now in the situation he's in, a lot more people love him than hate him. And he's doing good things for their Crusaders team.
He'd almost be like a Rico Ioane going to Leinster, sort of like the Irish probably, and now Leinster go, oh no, great guy.
Good,
yeah, love him.
The Hoskins Tutu pass as well was unreal. Like, the commentators were shocked. It was such a good, not sure if it was required or needed, but it did enough to rattle the cages, and they scored a try off it.
It was good because the bounce sort of it was perfect, and I can't remember who the Crusaders defender was, but he had come up quick too, and the bounce and then the little sidestep was a very, very nicely worked offensive move. Not sure if they had practiced that on the training pitch. But anyway, it was certainly very, very good. And one of the highlights of, as Shirley said, many, many highlights in a game where the conditions just weren't conducive to that sort of rugby. So, yeah, big ups. So it will be interesting to see how the Blues continue on. Chiefs Highlanders. Let's go to you first, Karl.
Yeah.
Because up till half time, they were right in it. They looked like they were. This could go either way, and then
10-all, and then the Highlanders gave away a sloppy penalty, 13-10 at the break, and then it was like the Chiefs came out and they just went whack whack in the mouth. The first 10 minutes of the second half, and it was all over. Highlanders had no answer, and Chiefs just went into Chiefs mode. They turned the attack on. 35 unanswered points in the second half. Not great for a Highlanders team whose run home gets a lot harder.
Indeed.
From here. So, yeah, not hope at halftime, nothing after halftime.
And they sit just outside that top six as well, the Highlanders at the moment, and it was 36 unanswered points in the second half from the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are that sort of team, Surly, who when they put the foot down can score 14 points in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, they got so many attacking threats, both starting and then off the bench. When you look at their strikeout wide, but then their forward pack and their midfield, like, they're just a loaded team, and they're so efficient when they get gifted opportunities off the back of errors. And I think that's what killed the Highlanders, is just too many mistakes against a quality side, and a Chiefs side that would have been stinging off the back of last week too. So it was almost the perfect storm. I expected the Chiefs to start like this. I thought it was going to be all out, fired up from the start. I thought the Highlanders were really good in the first 40, but yeah, in the end, just too much depth, too much quality. This Chiefs side's the real deal for sure.
Yeah.
If you took the Highlanders plus 14.5 at half time, you're sitting back thinking,
counting your money.
Yeah, pretty good chance here. I probably should have taken them head to head or something, but it just goes to show when the Chiefs just click, they're just very, very hard to stop. And it's across the field, and it's not just the backs, it's the forwards as well. They are just so skillful with ball in hand.
We were talking about the Blues run home before. Have you seen the Highlanders run home from here? Like,
it's horrible.
They don't like to say this, but they're probably done.
Wow.
Crusaders, Moana, Canes, Crusaders, Chiefs.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's tough. They need to get all their wins done in the first half of the season.
Yeah,
and I don't think they're probably going to have to win 3 of those, and I can't see it.
Just quickly on that, in terms of because we've mentioned the Blues will be there come finals. In terms of your power rankings after the weekend, is it Crusaders, Chiefs, Blues, even though they're not in the 6? Like, do you have them as third above some of these other teams, like Brumbies, maybe third? But it seems weird to say, right? But it looks like those are the 3 best teams, and they were the 3 strongest on the weekend, and one could miss out.
I got Brumbies in third spot at the moment, and I'm pretty sure they'll get a home playoff game. And if that's the case, they're very, very tough to beat over in Canberra. As Piri said, it's a horrible place to go.
Yeah.
Canes, did they lose a couple of points here, or did they grab a couple of points here? 17 all with the Force. We went to Golden Point and
Super point.
Exactly. Yeah, just score and get out of there. Was the upright the player of the day for the Force? Or Ruben? I tell you what, the Hurricanes. If James O'Connor was in the Hurricanes team, he'd be starting in the 10 jersey. He wouldn't be coming off the bench. And boy, have they missed Big Harry since he got injured. That just the balance of that side. He was very, very good across the field, to be fair. But in the end, they pick up 2 points, a draw. Should they be happy or sad, Surly?
I don't know. It keeps them right in touching distance. And when we talk about tough runs home, the Force, they have a very tough run home. They got Blues, Brumbies. They got the Chiefs this week, Fijian Drew and Lautoka, and then the Tars at home as well. They are right on the edge at the moment of dropping out, and I think they could well drop out. And this could be a game where you look back and think a win would have been great, but a draw was enough to get us into the 6 off the back of the Force's run home. But I was watching this game saying, geez, Geordie Barrett would be handy for the Canes right now. Unfortunately, unavailable. But, yeah, this is another of those games like the Force, they just hang tough, don't they? And everyone takes the mickey out of him, but Harry Potter, yes, he's got a great name. He's a quality footballer, man. And while there was a lot of aimless kicking throughout this game, there was also some good nudges. And I thought the Force's tactic of those crossfield kicks was really good to break down the Hurricanes' defense. And I thought Harry Potter was a real standout from this one.
Karl, your takeaways from...
Didn't the Canes bottled a try in the corner, didn't they?
Was it Harkin offloaded?
Yeah, he could have gone himself.
Yeah, I think he'll regret that one too. He's a good young player, but I definitely think he would want that moment back.
Oh, when he passed it behind Roygaard.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It looked like he could have gone himself.
So that could be one to come back and haunt them.
It's all about timing.
I think as well, like Riley Higgins looked really good coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Canes are going to get healthy at the perfect time. It's just whether even them, like we talk about tough runs home, and they got the Brumbies this week, then they got the Chiefs, they got the Reds over in Brisbane as well. So yeah, it's not easy for anyone at the moment, and that's the best thing about Super Rugby this year is it's going to go down to the wire. But if the Canes can get healthy, these 2 points could be really important.
Speaking of runs home, can I throw a real smoky in the mix here?
Yes.
The 11th placed Fijian Drew.
Drew, yeah.
Dead last. But they've got where have I put it? They've got 3 back-to-back games at home, which, we know it's hard to go to Fiji and win. They are a chance of upsetting a lot of teams and potentially scraping into that 6th spot, I think.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because they're basically impossible to beat in Lautoka.
Yeah.
They're just, I don't know what it is. They're just so good there. And they beat the Waratahs, who were the giant killers the week before. They beat them by 13 or more. And if you were betting live in that game, a Fijian penalty try to be the 5th try of the match was paying $51.
That was a bizarre end. I think for me that draw thing comes down to round 13 against the Blues in Suva. If I was them, I'd be trying to move that game ASAP to Lautoka and try and get the win because that could end the Blues season and book them a spot as well.
I think it probably starts this week against Moana, to be fair.
Yeah, true. That's on the road as well, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, right. Well, let's get to this weekend then. Oh, hold on. No,
haven't we got a...
No, because we've done it with Piri. Piri gave us his ultimate all-time Hurricanes team, and then we did it with Jeff. He gave us his all-time
Can I just
ultimate
say on the
Highlanders team.
on the record for the Highlanders team?
Yes.
Jeff Wilson is in that team. I know he picked his team, but he needs to be in that team.
Agreed. Way too humble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, as you were.
Okay. This week, we're going to get Surly to pick his all-time ultimate Chiefs team. And boy, oh boy, this might throw up a few names. There's a whole heap of positions where it's like you could have 3 or 4 outstanding players there. So as Surly said, there's going to be a whole heap of what? Honourable mentions.
I don't want to overstep the boundary here, but what's the protocol? Are we allowed to throw?
Oh yeah,
okay,
100%. Let's start with the forward, Surly. Your front row.
Just on that, should I say my honourable mentions or should I leave them? You guys can throw them at me and I can say whether they were in there or not.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Let's really layer this up. And I was hoping Paulie was going to skip this because I know I'm going to get some backlash. But hey, here we go. In the front row, I had Sona Taumalolo, Hika Elliott, and Ben Tamiafuna. That is a big front row.
Holy moly! That'll be approaching 450 kilos plus.
What's the criteria for these players to make your all-time?
Well, that's up
side?
To you. That's up to you.
Okay,
it's a personal preference.
Yeah, Deacon Manu.
Yep.
Chief Stalwart was the name that jumped out at me.
Also had Richard Lowe, but only 9 caps because Super Rugby, back end of his career. Yeah. But I basically went off, impact for the Chiefs rather than overall. So Deacon Manu is a fair shout, sure.
Tokiaho.
Yep, he was an honourable mention. Soon a Centurion as well, so he was right up there. But I think Hika is one, so I gave it to him.
You happy with that?
Yep. Yeah, I'm not a forward, so I can't really get too much into the weeds here.
Yeah, I can't say I've studied the dark arts of the front row either. They were just names that I remember really enjoying watching, and they're big human beings that if I left off, I would be scared for my health, so I put them in there.
Okay, locks. Now, I think one is a lock. A lock in.
Yeah, Brodie Retallick in there, and then I went with Ian Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Camo.
Yep.
Did you have someone else?
Keith Robinson. Mm-hmm. Yep. But can't complain with Ian Jones.
I was going to move John O'Gibb into lock as well because the loose forwards are stacked, but I went with Ian Jones.
Let's go blindside flanker.
I've gone with Liam Messam. Should I just do my whole trio here? Because I think Liam Messam picks himself, right? He is probably he's my skipper too. Liam Messam, my captain. Then I've gone Sam Cane in the 7 and Sione Lawaki in the 8.
I'm going Marty Holler.
That was the first name that jumped. Like when I thought Chiefs, that was the first name I wrote down.
And it's tough to knock Sam Cane out off of that open side flanker position. But if there's one guy who just, I guess he was a fantastic NPC player.
Yeah.
But take nothing away from his Super Rugby career. He was absolutely dynamic. But it's Sam Cane.
It's got to be Sam, yeah.
Yeah, but like Marty Holler is not just an honourable mention. He's like a triple honourable mention sort of thing.
Same like you mentioned John O'Gibbs as well. And then I was going down the list and I completely forgot about Liam Messam that I saw. I was like, oh, shit, yeah, okay.
Yeah, big time. And even, so my honourable mentions were John O'Gibbs, Tanuro Latimer, who I thought was unreal for the Chiefs for very long, Marty Holler, and then I threw Peter Gus Sowakula in there as well. Bit more recent, but I loved watching him play 8.
Stephen Bates.
Batesy.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got the forward pack sorted.
About 64 guys in there.
Just trying to keep everyone happy, They're passionate, these Chiefs fans. They're passionate.
If you've missed one name out, you're done.
I went with Brad Weber just because 120 odd caps for the Chiefs. Again, they've only got 11 Centurions, so I rank that higher than Tawera Kurbalo and Augustine Pulu, who was my third.
Who's the first person you thought of at halfback?
I don't want to say. You go first. I don't want to say.
Reece Duggan.
Yeah.
Wow, no, that was not the name that came to mind. Jeepers creepers.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm siding with Surly here. Yeah. No, I think that's a fair pick.
I forgot about Webber. Yeah, definitely. Good.
The number 10 jersey. Wow.
Good luck.
Oh.
Okay, I really battled with 10, and then it also had to factor into my selection at 15 as well. But again, going off the logic of Chiefs, this was a real coin toss for me at 10, but I went with Cruden with Donald as my honourable mention.
I think it's a fair call.
You can't really argue with it.
No, yeah, I mean, you could put them the other way around, and it would still be very hard to argue with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, I cop less flack for that than I thought. I'll take that.
A lot of good 10s.
Yes, a lot of very good 10s, including, spoiler alert, one that's my 15. On the left wing, I had Sitivini Sivivatu.
Yeah.
That's an easy one for mine.
Yeah, loved watching him play. 12, Anton Leonard-Brown, but again, a lot of good 12s. Chiefs impact, though.
Yeah.
Paulie, I saw your face.
Sonny Bill?
Yeah, see, Chiefs impact.
Longevity too, like.
Because you could chuck Bundy Aki in the mix in terms of how good his career has been since leaving the Chiefs, but this is about the Chiefs. So I went with Anton at 12, and then at 13, I went with Richard Kahui.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, although he played most of his All Black rugby on the wing, didn't he?
All Black rugby, but not Chiefs rugby.
Yeah.
That's where it's tough to differentiate. This next one, I'm probably going to cop it a little.
Here we go.
But I had Sean Stevenson, Centurion. So that is why the 11th. So I chucked him in. Honourable mentions: Tim Nanai-Williams, Lelia Masanga, and I would have moved Sivivatu to the right and had James Lowe on the left as well, because James Lowe was one of my favourite players to watch when he was in Super Rugby. But I've gone with Sean Stevenson.
He's another one who's just gone, since moving on from the Chiefs, he's just like gone on and gone really, really well. Sort of like a Bundy. Those two are sort of, their careers are sort of like being parallel with one another.
I do feel like James Lowe was really good here, though, and he was always that one that was right on the fringe, whereas Bundy's kind of gone to a whole nother level. I think James Lowe was probably unlucky not to be an All Black, right?
Yes, very much so.
Very Sean Stevenson-like.
Yes.
What about Roger Randall?
Yes, one of my favourites on, was it Rugby 08, where he was like 99 speed for some reason, so I'd just chuck him on the wing, and you could take a shot at goal. Opposition team would go back to the goal line off a penalty, regardless of where you were. It was a glitch in the game. You put Roger Randall as your goal kicker, kick it 5 metres, scoop it back up and go the length of the field. One of the great hacks.
How good.
Which reminds me of another Chiefs player now. I'll tell Lisa Myvale. Yeah, he was one of my faves. Did we get the 15?
No, but we know who it is.
Yeah, it's Damian McKenzie, but Mills Muliaina is obviously a very honourable mention, but I think, almost 50 games for the Blues kind of makes him borderline. So D-Mac gets it for his 120-plus caps and just how freakish of a player he is, especially, like, you can't question how dominant he has been at Super Rugby level.
Yep.
Nice team.
Yeah, strong.
Tough to argue with. There's a few the honourable mentions here.
Like Bruce Rehana. I used to love watching him play. There's like, when you go through the list, there's 3 or 4 teams for the Chiefs that you could field out there that would be incredibly strong.
Glenn Jackson, David Hill.
Yep.
Did Rehana used to kick goals from the wing?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, multi-talented.
Played for the... Did he play for the All Blacks? No, played for the Māoris and Samoa.
Yeah.
On 7s as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that carved up Waikato NPC as well that kind of come into your thoughts here when you're thinking, geez, am I missing them out? But then maybe Super Rugby, they weren't as impactful as they were at NPC, which made it a little tougher to dissect as well. But yeah, that's my team, and I'm incredibly surprised I copped less flack than that. So happy days. Yet. We haven't seen the Instagram social media comments.
Yeah, get them, trolls, get them.
Get them.
Righty-ho, shall we move on to this week, Super Rugby, and we've got a couple of games on Friday. Starting off with the Chiefs up against the Force. Chiefs very, very warm favourites here. I think Surly, he did mention the Force have a very, very tough run into the playoffs. Chiefs $1.06. The Force, $8. The Chiefs are 20.5 point favourites. The game total is set at 59.5. Boy, oh boy. Are we going to see the same Chiefs from the second half of last week's game, Surly?
I hope so. I think the travel factor is massive for the Force. We've said all year how much of an improved side they are this year. A lot of that comes down to them being really sharp at home. And we've seen them not really target away games as much and rest a couple players at times. And I do wonder if they do this here and try and target that Blues at Eden Park more than the Chiefs in Waikato. I guess neither are great options to try and target, but I do think the travel factor will be huge. Chiefs with back-to-back home games, so they will be too good. But yeah, you can't underestimate the Force because they've proven this year that they're worthy of respect, and the odds certainly aren't giving them respect, but I do think the Chiefs too strong.
Chiefs have won 7 straight, 11 of the last 12 against the Force. They've also scored 50 plus and 3 straight played at home against the Force.
Chiefs 13 plus. Disrespect the Force. Bookie's got it right.
Okay, let's move on to the second game of Friday night, and the Blues travel across the ditch to take on the Reds, and they are slight outsiders, the Blues. Reds $1.80, Blues $1.95. The game total is set at 58.5. Boy, oh boy, are the bookies showing enough respect to the Blues here, or do they deserve to be slight outsiders in Queensland against the Reds, Surly?
I think when you factor in the circumstances, this is probably about right. Reds at home, Blues off a bruising encounter with the Crusaders and a pretty heartbreaking loss. And then you look at the ladder. Those are probably the 3 things that you have to factor in. I'd love to hear some stats from Carlo before I make my decision on how this game is going to play out.
Blues have won 4 straight. That, I guess, doesn't take into consideration that the Australian teams are much better this year. The last 3 games, the total is top 70 points.
Oh.
So it's a true defence is
non-existent.
Check
the forecast.
Yeah, exactly. Blues are my bet of the week, I reckon. $1.95.
They do look attractive at that.
They look much better team against the Crusaders. They've got troops coming back. I think, like I said, they make the 6. I think this is where it starts.
Yeah, this is a huge game.
Yep.
And you'd have to think the Blues will be up for it because they know what's riding on it. But yeah, Reds off the back of a bye as well. This is coin toss. Either team 7.5 try bet option. One of my favourites, a real fencer. But I genuinely reckon it's going to be that tight as well because the Reds they play like a Kiwi side. They'll throw the ball around, and they're tough at home to beat.
3 games on Saturday. The first one, it's the Battle of the Pacific. Moana Pacifica up against the Fijian Drew. Moana Pacifica $1.42. The Drua $2.70. The Drua 6.5 point underdogs here, and the game total is set at 65.5.
Defense optional.
Well,
three of the 5 games total has gone over 70, with one of them going over 90.
That one almost got to 100, wasn't it? 48, 46 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I checked the weather in this one because I saw the total and I was like, that is very gettable. But I think it's going to be some showers up here on Saturday Arvo, which might make things more interesting. At the same time, though, I could see both teams just not being phased, makes the jersey slipperier, and we see still a truckload of points.
Plus that flanker that played against you last week, he might be slotting into.
Yeah, well, look, if he has the same impact and scores 2 or 3 tries, then that adds to Moana's tally as well. But I think this one just comes down to home ground, right? If this was in Fiji, the Drua are the favourites. Because it's in Albany, Moana are the favourites. I want to see the Moana team name to see if Artie is in the mix. I was surprised he wasn't last week because I wasn't too aware of any injuries or things like that. But if Artie's there, then you go Moana, and I think they do it reasonably well. If he's not there, then this is one the Drua would have circled.
Drew have won 4 of the 5. I know Moana's a much better team this year, but I think you got to take that into consideration too. And like we said, this is the start of like the blues of the Drua's run home.
Yeah, I thought Moana was so disappointing on the weekend just been. I've loved watching them play this year, but it's because of their attack and how exciting they've been, and they kind of failed to fire a shot, unfortunately. No Artie, but they still had a really strong team out there, and I tipped them for the upset, but yeah.
And they scored the first try that got brought back, and fair enough too, off that line out, but they looked really good, and I think they get a bit of momentum. They score the first try. They get it's all downhill. It's all makes it a wee bit easier. And then when the Brumbies scored right on the stroke of half time, I just think that took the wind out of the Moana Pacifica's sails, and they just, unfortunately, the Brumbies are a side who are so clinical. Once they've got you sort of up against the wall, it's very, very hard to come back. And yeah, the Brumbies were the Brumbies. They were very, very good.
Yeah.
If we go to the next game, we'll start with Karl this time. Highlanders up against the Crusaders. Highlanders at home, $3.80 outsiders against the Crusaders, who are $1.22. The Highlanders are 10.5-point underdogs at home, and the game total is set at 59.5. Karl, make a case for your Highlanders.
They've won 1 in a row against the Crusaders.
Hey, it's a streak.
It is a streak. No, so they won last year. Crusaders have won 3 of the last 5 and 10 of the last 12. At Forsyth Bar, though, it's much closer. Crusaders 3 wins, Highlanders 2 wins since 2017. Based on the games last week, I don't know if 10.5 is enough, but the Landers always seem to get up at Forsyth Bar for the Crusaders, the derby. Yeah.
They play them twice.
They do. They've got them again in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So they're going to, like I said, if they're going to make the 6, they've got to probably win three games, and this has probably got to be one of them.
Shirley, can you make a case for the Highlanders here?
I think if you told me the Crusaders were resting a couple, then I would, but they have the bye next week. So that's when the whole team will get the rest. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to go the Crusaders, but I think it'll be a closer scoreline than what we saw last weekend. I think the Highlanders, like Karl said, always get up for this derby. 7 o'clock, that's prime time zoo time. The students will be out in numbers to get around them. So, yeah, I'm hoping the Landers get up. I'll always tip against the Crusaders, but I think they'll be too good.
Of the 5 played at Forsyth Bar since 2017, there's been 1 blowout win where the Crusaders won by 40, but then the other 4, Crusaders by 13, Crusaders by 15, Highlanders by 7, Highlanders by 3.
12, bit of value.
Yeah, 1 to 12 either way.
Oh, no. What you've just said to me there is the Highlanders win, it's 1 to 12. If the Crusaders win, it's 13 and
plus.
over.
Yeah. Which
Oh.
is probably just Super Rugby in general for those 2 teams, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll be like 60 to 40, and there'll be 100 points, and it'll be Raz galore.
Final game of the round, and the Hurricanes were part of the final game last weekend. They're part of the final game this weekend. They stay in Australia. They travel across to the capital to take on the Brumbies. The Brumbies $1.45. The Hurricanes $2.60. Brumbies are 5.5-point favourites. The game total is set at 59.5. Surly, I want the Canes to win, but I can't back them. I can't.
I like their unders. I think that's too many points. I think this is going to be a Brumbies attempt at a strangle fest like they do with just rolling mauls. Exciting back three, but they don't get too many options unless you kick them the ball aimlessly. So I think that unders is probably the safest bet here if you're a Canes fan and you don't want to bet against your side. Just go on the unders total points because I think that's too many, right?
Karl, is it too many?
I don't actually have any stats on the total, but it feels like it's too many. Brumbies and
just
Canberra.
make some up. 9 of the last 10 have gone unders.
There you go. 9 of the last 10 unders. Cold Canberra. Well, I presume it's starting to get cold over there now. Brumbies have won 5 of the last 6 between these two.
Yeah.
$1.45 head-to-head Brumbies.
Wow. Well, that's, great news for Hurricane fans. Okay. Let's go. Well, we've talked about the punting. Now let's actually see where we're going to put our money. Surly, let's start with you first. Your $100. Where are you going to make some of the losses that you incurred last weekend?
Yeah, I'm just going to go $100, one bet. I'm searching for a win here. I'm just going Moana, Crusaders, and Brumbies all head-to-head, $2.51. Trying to learn from my 5 legs. I started off the season going the perfect round. I won in week 1, which gave me a massive advantage. Then I just got carried away, and I've been leaking money since. So back to the drawing board, just that 3-leg multi, all 100 on, just to make the return reasonable.
Oh, I was looking forward to a Wicked Wingers, little multi.
We saved that for the NRL podcast. The second row is special, one short, thanks to Britain Nicketa, paying $28.58. That would have been iconic on the honours board type of stuff. But
very tasty, yes.
Tough.
Karl?
2 bets.
Oh.
75 on a little double. Blues and Brumbies both head-to-head at $2.82. And then $25 on an alternate line in the Chiefs game. Chiefs minus 39.5 at $7.
Oh,
wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. May the force be with you.
Yeah, wow. Is that just to get the Chiefs fans on side because you think they're going to be spiking in interest this week off the back of my team? And then you saying minus 39.5, you are now the Chiefs fans' favourite punter.
#clickbait.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I genuinely think that the Chiefs are going to run riot.
Yeah, fair.
I'm similar to Karl. One bet, the whole $100 on. I'm going to take the Blues to win at $1.95 into under 59.5 in the Brumbies Hurricanes game because Pity wouldn't come back on here if I went for the Brumbies. So Blues, $1.95 into under 59.5 points in the Brumbies Hurricanes game. Easy peasy. Righty-ho. Surly, what's Northcote up to this weekend?
We have Massey this weekend on ANZAC Day, which unfortunately means you can't go down to Christchurch. The wife's going. She's really rubbing it in, which is tough scenes. And I know you two jokers are going as well. So I'm the odd one out. But no, I'll be battling away in game 152 up against the biggest side in the competition. So spare a thought for me, lads.
Oh, prayers.
Yeah.
What are you guys up to, though? Go on, rub it in.
Karl?
Well, we're off to Christchurch on ANZAC Day, Paul.
Working, yep.
With some harness racing and some rugby league.
Yep.
Then after that, might come home, try and sneak in a wee game of golf on Sunday.
You're not going to sneak to the Landers Crusaders on Saturday, mate? You're down in the South Island. You're a big Landers fan. Surely you make the road trip.
It's 5 hours I don't have, Surly.
See, this is one of those things. If they were coming first, you would have 100% done the roadie and got around the lads, right?
Oh, I'd like to think I'd stay true to, nah, maybe.
And sorted out a game of golf down there as well.
Exactly.
All righty. That's it for another week. Beautiful. Karl, thanks for coming in and taking the place of Piri Weepu for a week.
I like to think I replaced 3 All Blacks in Piri, Jeff and Steve.
Steve, right. Well, the other 2 weren't scheduled to come on this week. But no, that's okay. Surly, all the best on Anzac Day up there. And we'll look after the Wars down in Christchurch. Don't you worry about that, big guy. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. And don't forget, come back next week and we'll have another episode. The Pick and Go.